G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Tuesday the 15th of May 2018 and the time here is 13:45 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, as I said yesterday, the world is a peculiarly screwed up place at the moment. You've got all these, all these things happening, and everyone's taking a bite out of the apple here and there, and it's particularly unnerving for someone like myself trying to find the right information. Where do you look? What do you see, etc., etc. So I've chosen a couple of things that I think are relevant. This Q thing, for example. It seemed to me, whoever this person or persons are, their information seems to be valid. And as I've always said, you need to dot the I's and cross the T's before Trump can do anything and move on to nail these people, whoever the criminals are. He's got to make sure he walks into a courthouse and goes, bang. You can't just go there expecting it, oh, well, we don't like her, so let's put her in jail for 20 years. That's not going to happen, folks. Or, if they're going to go for the death penalty, and a little bit of my gut instinct tells me that that's what they're going to do here with a couple of these people, because these crimes are so heinous. Removing the pedophilia and the like out, the crimes are so heinous and so global, and the treason is so bad that to set the benchmark, if you want, or the benchmark was set in the 1800s, 1700s. If you're someone who was tried for treason and convicted, you got shot or you got hung. Usually hung. They usually hung you because, you're a scurvy dog, really. It's the lowest form of criminality because you are an untrusted person and you can never be trusted ever again. So you'd have to think that Trump's looking at this and going, well, he's taking people's advice. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do go for these military tribunals, that he actually starts pushing for people to be hung. And as the truth comes out, then, it's going to get pretty serious. So watch this space, I guess. And you'd imagine walking into a courtroom, if you're going to be pushing for the death penalty, and you want to make sure that you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, that's for sure. Because even the slightest slip up will cause... And don't forget, while this is all going on, you've got two camps. You've got the Trump camp, or the Conservatives, and you've got the ratbags over here. Now, excuse me, while this is all going on, these people are trying to find all the information, Trump, etc. And these ratbags here, they are continuing to do what they did because they still think they're going to get away with it. And they still think that people like us have no right to even question them about it or even do anything about it. Or in actual fact, they think they should just be left alone to do what they're doing. That's how entrenched their feelings are, or their thought patterns are. So just remember that. This isn't like we know they're bad, and, well, they know we're bad, so blah, blah, blah. That's not what this is about. This is about the bad guys trying to protect their ass. And they will take this down to the wire. They will literally take this down to the wire. Whether that means an atomic bomb going off in a major city somewhere, all this sort of stuff. Uptick in the terrorism. Go on, boys. Away you go. Kill some people. Thousands if you can. Thank you. Wankers. But look, there was some other stuff I wanted to show you here today. This is going to be mainly information for Americans about what's going on here in Australia, but it's more for the Australian audience. This what I'm going to show you. It's from the ABC newspaper. So this is the ABC newspaper today. Now, every other country in the world, their main heading was the American embassy is now in Jerusalem. Well, that's what happened yesterday. That was the major news yesterday. Look what we've got here with the lefty nutbags we've got running. Well, I should say to you guys in America that you don't know, or anyone else that doesn't know this, the ABC is fully taxpayer funded. So people like myself and everyone else in Australia who's worked and raised money is actually paying for these clowns. And they've gone so far to the left that it's even hard to find any articles in there that are worth reading anymore. I definitely don't watch the news anymore. I don't watch the ABC. I don't watch TV at all, to be honest with you. But don't forget, we pay. Like, this is all taxpayer funded by the Australian taxpayers. So this is, I'll scroll through this and you can see there's not one message in this, or headline, sorry, about a positive aspect for the embassy now being in Jerusalem. Not one. Not one, folks. So, okay, well maybe it's in politics. No, sorry, maybe it's in the world. Let's go to the world. Same story. Oh, it must be in here somewhere because they opened it yesterday, didn't they? This is important. I'm going to get back to this. Now this is the only bit, this bit here, analysis, friendly embrace or deliberate insult. Trump embassy opening is both. Well, there is no insult because the Jews have been there for 3,000 plus years. And as far as I remember, and as far as I read in the Old Testament, Jerusalem has always been there. So this nonsense and bullshit about the Palestinians owning Jerusalem, it's absolute bullshit. And it goes back to this whole hyperbole from these lefty nutbags, libtards, that they just don't want you to know the truth. And the truth is that Jerusalem has been there for thousands of years. Thousands and thousands. And it wasn't called Jerusalem by a Palestinian. The state of Israel was given to the people of Israel by who? God. It's written so in every religion, just about. Everybody knows about it. It's not like a mystery. So why do the libtards try and push this shit about the Palestinians? I don't give a shit about the Palestinians. Yeah, it's bad they get killed and stuff, but grow up. Jerusalem's always been there. It's not going away. It's going to stay there, and it's going to be defended to the death. So it kind of irks me a bit when you see lefties, their number one thing is this: dozens killed, thousands injured in Gaza protest as anger mounts over US embassy move to Jerusalem. Well, the only reason they're pissed off is because they don't want everybody to know the truth. And what's the truth? The truth is, of course, that Jerusalem belongs to the Israelis always has, always will. There's no two ways about it. And the capital of Israel is Jerusalem. We're doing more of an injustice and inservice to people on our part to propagate a lie that is so brazenly bullshit that people just can't believe the fact that it's true. But what we should be doing is going, there you go, there's the Old Testament. No, we should say, do you believe in the Bible? Do you believe in the Old Testament? Well, you don't even have to believe it, really. You just show them the fact and you open the book up. They walked around the desert for 40 years and then he went, bang, that's yours there. Yours for eternity. Now, there is, of course, a valid argument that perhaps a couple of blokes got on the grog one night and wrote this book anyway, but let's not kid ourselves that there seems to be a lot of correlation with the Old Testament with facts. Leaving Egypt, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of think that in that time span, people actually wrote the truth more than they do now. Perhaps. That's why I've got a bit of a quirk about religion. How do I trust someone who wrote the Bible? Because it wasn't written at the time; it was written many years later, and that includes the Quran. If you actually find out the facts, I actually read the Quran thinking that Muhammad wrote it. He didn't. It was written, I think it was 100 years later. So it's kind of like going fishing and throwing in the rod, and you come home and you go, oh, I caught a fish this big. Yeah, now you pull one out that was this big, but you end up pulling out one that was, 12 feet long. By the time the story's gone around 3 times, the fish has gotten bigger. So the lie's gotten bigger. The number one thing for the Muslim faith is what? Destruction of Israel. That's the tenet. That's one of the tenets. And everyone else, if you don't believe in, Muhammad or whatever. So all those religion things, I just take them with a grain of salt. But the thing that I know about the Old Testament, more so than the other ones, is that it was chronicled by several people, not just one. So you kind of think there's a little bit more truth in the Old Testament than many other written words later years, if you see my point. But going back to this, look. Why isn't the ABC saying, well, you're a bunch of dickheads, why are you doing this? The ABC should be actually in fact saying, what a glorious day for Israel. Thank you, Mr. Netanyahu. He said it himself. What a glorious day for Israel. We are in Jerusalem and we are here to stay. Why? Because it's theirs. It doesn't belong to the Palestinians. Never has. So, look, this is not going to end well for the Palestinians unless someone actually has the guts, like Trump, stands up and tells them the truth. Guys, you don't have any claim on it. Piss off. You think you might have, but you don't. It's all a shit fight, isn't it? Let's be honest. But, sometimes you have to be brutally honest with people to get the point across. Anyway, I wanted to show you something else here, which was really important. Did you know that yesterday this happened? Or is going to happen, sorry. Folks, you could have knocked me over with a feather when I read this, because Port Moresby is literally a couple of hours from Australia. It's literally, look, in essence, Port Moresby and Papua New Guinea, and this is a fact that's not that well known. On the border of West Papua and Papua New Guinea, Australian troops have been there since the demarcation. It's a little known fact, but it's actually true. We've been there since day one. We've never left. We do training up there. We do everything. So, you know, and New Guinea got their independence in 1972 from Australia, by the way. You know, it was a roundabout fashion, but look, we've always run the place, sort of thing. They run it now, but there's no two ways about it. This is not going to go down well in Australia at all. And to put it in context, the last situation where this happened was Japan went to Port Moresby. And we called all our troops home and sent them to New Guinea to fight the Japs. But the essence is that before all this happened, the Japanese were making trips down this way, because you've got to ask yourself, why? Why does a Russian ship from the Baltic Fleet, right, because that's where it's from, I've read the story, it says it here, the naval ship Perikop is part of the Russia's Navy's Baltic Fleet. So why the hell is the Russian naval fleet, or part of the Russian naval Baltic Fleet, sailing down to Papua New Guinea? And the obvious answer is recon. That's true, that's the only reason they're there. It's actually to look, map the areas, see where they can get their ships in. It's not a joke, this is serious. So you've got to ask yourself, what the F is going on here? Can also point out to you guys that there's in America, if you don't know this, Darwin's there, Port Moresby's over here. They ain't that far apart. And Port Moresby there and Pine Gap is there. So to have a Russian, part of a Russian fleet going to Port Moresby should, in all honesty, raise the hackles on the back of your neck to start with, because you're thinking, yeah, what the crap is going on here? And it should also notify the Americans that this is not a joke anymore. The Russians are doing this on purpose, by the way. They're not doing it because they think that it's just a fun, I don't know, they didn't wake up one day and go, let's go to a third world shithole, Port Moresby, and hang out. That's not what this is about, folks. I'm sorry, but it's not. The Russians are there for a reason, and the reason is reconnaissance. Now, I can guarantee you, London to a brick, that boat is going to go, and it's going to go around the bottom end of Port Moresby between New Guinea and Australia, which isn't that far. You can actually get in a dinghy at low tide sometimes and hop and skip to Australia. And I'm being dead serious. So it can fly, it'll float through, go past Darwin, or shoot up the Andaman Strait or whatever the bloody hell it's called, close to Indonesia, up past China. If it goes that way, then you'll know that the whole thing is a reconnaissance trip. But where's the Australian government going, mate, that ain't happening? Or the US government. So that's a bit of a worry. That's a real worry, and we should all be scared about it. Right, because there's nothing saying that that thing hasn't got a nuclear capability on it either, by the way. On Wednesday with 200 cadets on board. But the governments of Papua New Guinea and Australia maintain there is no cause for a concern. Bullshit. Yeah, look, I don't know. They're not doing strategic fighting with Australia or anything, folks, so you've got to ask yourself, what the hell is going on? Now, there's one other thing I wanted to show you here, and this is going to make you wet yourself with laughter, because it sure did me when I read it. Hillary Clinton warns of Chinese influence on Australian politics. Sorry, let me go back to that heading first. You might not have seen it. Australia needs to be for Australians. Well, thank you very friggin' much, Hillary, for your fine influence on our pointing out that Australia needs to be for Australians. Guys, I could not stop. I tried to read this and I just gave up. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. This is a failed Secretary of State who was crap at a job. I think Australians need to be for Australians. What the hell does that mean? Americans need to be for Americans. And whether it's Russian in a secret way interfering with our election and producing more than 3,500 ads to try to confuse our election or try to damage me, or the Chinese looking to try to influence policy, we should say no, she told 7:30. I don't care what side of the political aisle you might be on, in either Australia or United States, we have an interest in making sure that decisions that are made by our governments are not the result of some kind of influence peddling by foreign power. Well, I couldn't stop reading after that because I just thought, you know, you're an idiot. Basically, she hasn't got a clue what she's talking about. As I've pointed out to you people before, you know, look at this. A lot of smoke in Trump probe, Clinton. And have you noticed she's wearing this coat? Did you notice this? Look at her body structure. There's something wrong with her. She's actually wearing a brace. Because, folks, it's not that cold. It's Australia. And she's got a brace on here. See the top of her shoulders here? You notice, look at the way she's sitting. She's got a brace on. And you can tell because the chest and the neck is pushed together. That scarf is there to hold her, stop everyone from seeing it. But look, I had to laugh at this because, no offence, Hillary, but we don't need you to tell us how to run our country. And we sure as shit don't want you to tell us how to run our country. So piss off. You are, by definition, a Richard Cranium. So, and that's saying something for a female. You need to do the right thing and give up and get locked up. But as I said, yeah, they're not going to give up. They're just going to keep this shit up until something major gives. But if you want to waste your time, read the article. And I couldn't read it. I started to read it and I thought, oh, you know what? When someone like this has absolutely zero relevance on my spectrum, my mental spectrum and my respect spectrum, I'm sorry, but I just can't tolerate listening to their bullshit. And this is where this woman's got to now. People have actually woken up and are going, hang on a minute. One, I don't respect her. Two, she doesn't, apart from all the fact that she seems to be intelligent, she's not. And three, she's a crook. The Clinton Foundation bogeyman is out of the container. And everyone knows about the Clinton Foundation now. And she's a crook of the highest order. So, Hillary, I know, jump on the Russian warship and maybe they'll put you in a canister and shoot you out of one of the cannons. Save us all a big... You could make like Bin Laden. Bye! Ooh. We wish. Folks, this is my new email account, my PayPal account and my Patreon page. If you feel giving me a donation is great, thank you very much, then it is much appreciated. You know, but like I said to you, I'm still going to be here, I'm still going to post, just to, even if in spite of myself, I'm still going to try and post. I would ask one thing, if anybody knows of anybody that would like to print some t-shirts for me at cost price or whatever, because I'm going to get some t-shirts printed up with this on it, you know, in my YouTube site, my Patreon site, etc. So if anybody knows anybody here in Australia who'd be happy to help me out, I want to do good quality, I don't want to do shit. So if anybody knows of anybody, then let me know. We'll put me in touch with them, or put them in touch with me, and I'll try and get them together and obviously start selling them for people who want them. Obviously don't know the cost yet because no one's got back to me yet. So when I know the cost, then I will get back to you and I'll start posting them out if everybody wants them. Which is a good way to communicate, etc. Get the word known so everyone can start looking at it. Okay folks, here is the verse of the day. Ecclesiastes, is that how you say it? Ecclesiastes or something like that. Ecclesiastes, if I remember. I can't remember. Okay, verse of the day. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the word of God, the maker of all things. Ooh, that's a great verse of the day. Verse of the day. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. That's what I was saying yesterday as regards to those shootings, that shooting in Western Australia. You know, you've got to have faith in God, folks. There's nothing else. And as always, folks, we'll end with the Lord's Prayer. So pray this with me if you want, or turn it off now. But just listen to the prayer if you don't want to say it. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay folks, I'm out of here. God bless. Prep out.